How's it going, everybody? Bryan Alvarez here on Wrestling Observer Live. We are here every day, Monday through Friday, noon Pacific, 3 Eastern, Sundays, 3 Pacific, 6 Eastern. And yes, Saturdays with Jim Valley, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 Eastern. A lot of news to get into here today. The Forbidden Door. It's open for real this time. AEW last night, the big announcement. AEW New Japan pay-per-view, June 26th at the United Center in Chicago. We'll tell you all about that here today. And all of the news coming out of AEW Dynamite. No spoilers for the Rampage show on Friday, but it's a big edition of Rampage. And we will have Fauntleroy going down the lineup for the show. Non-spoiler lineup later on here in this program. And I'm going to get him on the air. It's coming. We'll see if I can do it today. Want to wish a big congratulations to Killer Cross and Scarlet Bordeaux. Now Scarlet Cross, or perhaps Killer Bordeaux. They're married. Couple announced on Wednesday they had eloped in Alaska recently. I wrote here that we flew to Alaska, hopped on a helicopter, flew to a glacier for a very private ceremony. Pretty sure there weren't a lot of people there on that glacier. We initially weren't going to share the footage, but after further discussing, we'd actually like to do so. Thank you so much for all the support we get from you all. Whether you're a fan, friend, or family, you have all participated in bringing joy into our lives. You can check it out on social media. And then, of course, they wrestled for Anchorage, Alaska's Wrestle Pro Alaska on April 9th. So congratulations to them. Got all the other news to get into here today. NXT ratings, Pat McAfee may be getting another gig. AEW video game, your full AEW Dynamite report, and so much more. Back in a moment to kick it off, Wrestling Observer Live.
Hey there, everyone. It's Denise, and I'm back once again. This time, I got the opportunity to chat with Filthy Tom Lawlor. Here's a little bit of our conversation.
The road less traveled, I guess you'd say. My biggest inspiration, I've always watched wrestling since I was a kid. And, you know, I've always, honestly, I should say, I've watched MMA since UFC 2 was on pay-per-view when I was like 12. So I've been watching that almost since its inception in the U.S., and through the time period, I can pinpoint and say my biggest inspirations were the pro wrestlers in Pride. So these were sometimes guys like Takayama, Don Fry, Sakuraba, who would be going back and forth between pro wrestling and MMA. They weren't necessarily, stuck in one world or the other. And that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a fighter in Pride FC in Japan, and I wanted to wrestle in Hustle and 01 and New Japan and All Japan and Noah and all these other companies. And when I was given the chance to make fighting my career, that wasn't an option. You know, Pride was gone. The UFC was the show to fight in, and I tried to continue to be a pro wrestler, even when I was in the UFC, with my entrances and walkouts and stuff like that. But I guess I've always just viewed myself as both. Well, this is something I think about a lot as a pro wrestler. You have a lot of free time. Sometimes you're traveling and you got nobody to talk to, so you're stuck in your own mind. I don't want to give this away too much, but I'll be 40 next year, which sounds kind of old, but physically, I felt worse, I guess, when I was doing MMA. I was more beat up. So, this is being a little bit easier on my body right now. And when I look at guys like Minoru Suzuki, Yuji Nagata, some of the guys who are still on the New Japan roster, Satoshi Kojima, these are guys who are in their 50s, and Suzuki is a huge star over here. He just had an awesome match with Hiromu Takahashi, and, you wouldn't know that this is a guy who's in his 50s. So when I look at that, I don't think I've even come close to overstaying my welcome in the pro wrestling world, because I've only been here a few years. So it's not like I feel like I'm, long in the tooth for this world. So my long-term goal is to be wrestling when I'm 55, still traveling the world doing that. But in the short term, it's to take that New Japan Strong Open White title over to Japan.
It was a great time getting to chat with Tom Lawlor. I hope you guys appreciated this preview. I'll see you on the next video.
Back in the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. Almost didn't make it back here.
Them.
Trying to find old Fauntleroy.
Oh, yeah?
This little shibbity-doo.
Slippery little thing, isn't he?
He's hiding, but his day's coming.
He's going to poke himself out a little bit later.
I may have to handcuff him like Wardlow. Handcuff him to this chair.
You going to put hands on Fauntleroy? Man.
Put hands on him. I just handcuff him.
Well, how are you going to, get him down there and get him,
He's not big. It's not like I have to physically accost him. All right, let's talk about the news. The Forbidden Door is wide open. It says here at WrestlingObserver.com. A joint AEW New Japan pay-per-view set for Sunday, June 26th at the United Center in Chicago. They sure love that Chicago. The announcement of AEW versus New Japan Forbidden Door was made during last night's Dynamite episode after being hyped for the past week on AEW programming. Tony Khan and New Japan President Takami Obari appeared together on Dynamite to announce the pay-per-view, but were interrupted by Adam Cole and Jay White. Cole and White delivered the details of the event, Cole adding he will face Ishii on this week's AEW Rampage. No talent or match announcements have been made for Forbidden Door, but Tony Khan told Sports Illustrated the pay-per-view will feature matches with AEW talent facing off against New Japan talent. Tickets for the show will go on sale Friday, May 6th at 11 a.m. The event will air on traditional pay-per-view and the Bleacher Report app in the United States and on Fight TV for international customers. It will take place during what is typically a lull in New Japan's schedule between Dominion and the G1 tournament. Top talent like Okada, Tanahashi, and Naito will likely be able to work the show. Okada, Tanahashi, and Naito did not work last week's New Japan event in Chicago, although Tanahashi is advertised for dates in Washington, D.C. and Philadelphia next month. Okada is advertised only for Washington. So, where to begin here? When AEW first started, and everybody wanted to see all the New Japan talent in AEW, well, there were a lot of problems stemming from the treatment of many of the AEW stars by New Japan. There's a lot of heat. And Harold May ended up being removed from power. And once that happened, things started to warm up a little between the two sides. And then we started to slowly see one or two guys show up here or there. And essentially what has happened is things are much better now. And so what we have is a joint show. And if you listen to Observer Radio last night, Dave did a lot of fantasy booking about what we might see on the show. And the reality is you're going to see the top names. But I was talking to somebody there last night, and there's pretty much an acknowledgement that fans are going to be doing a lot of fantasy booking, and, they're probably going to have some disappointment because everyone's going to just go all hog wild on every dream match they've ever wanted to see. And you're not going to get all of those, but you're going to get a New Japan AEW show with the top stars. And when all is said and done, you're probably going to be pretty happy with how everything turns out. But you're not going to get absolutely everything that you want, every dream match, because they can't. There is obviously there's going to be politics at work here because you've got two companies, and, New Japan's not going to go in there to lose every match, and AEW is not going to go in there to lose every match, and AEW is going to want guys that will be protected, and New Japan is going to want guys that are going to be protected. But it will, for all I know, they already have the entire card all worked out between the two sides because I don't know when this deal came about, But, as I've talked about for a while here, this may be that second big announcement that Tony had in his pocket several weeks ago when he announced there was going to be a big announcement, and it ended up being the Ring of Honor announcement. But when he announced there would be an announcement, that deal wasn't made, so they had a backup announcement. It may have been this. So it's possible, especially if you look at the booking of New Japan, it's possible they already have a full card, all the winners, and everything. We're not going into this blind and probably having to figure it out here. But I think you're going to see a lot of really fun matches. The crowd seemed jazzed about it last night. I think it's going to be a really, really fun show, and people there are very excited about it because, a lot of the top stars have worked at Japan before, and although things went sour under Harold May, they loved working New Japan, and people are excited to go there. People are excited to come here, and I think it's going to work out great for everybody involved.
Yeah, and if you're a wrestling fan, I don't know how you can't be happy about this. And even though things went south under Harold May with the relationship, the reality is COVID sealed that deal no matter who would have been in charge. And we're finally going to get to see guys. We've seen, a couple of guys come over, but to this level on this type of showcase, it's basically unprecedented, the very least since the last ROH show. But this is going to be, that show at Madison Square Garden. I'm not saying on steroids, but it's going to be big. And it's also going to be a lot of moving parts, too, because you still have Fukuoka coming up for New Japan at the beginning of May. You have AEW's pay-per-view coming at the end of the month, and then Dominion before anything happens. So you could see titles change, you could see some situations change, and I think we are going to get to see some really good one-on-one matchups, AEW versus New Japan, but I'm also looking forward to some combinations, like seeing Andrade back with Naito, because I could handle Naito in an 8-man tag team match, showing off LIJ against somebody, whoever it would be for AEW, and have a mix of guys from AEW and New Japan. So there's a lot you can do with this show. There's going to be a lot of expectations, and again, it's just going to be an exciting couple of months here leading into it.
I'll go over the full Dynamite recap here in a moment, but a couple of other news notes. The NXT show, 569,000 viewers, down 7%, and a .12 in 18 to 49. Remember when Hunter said that things had stabilized? Well, .12 is not very good. 44th on the cable charts in 18 to 49. 3 NBA playoff games, 2 games on TNT that topped the charts. NXT, AEW, Raw, SmackDown, all of them being brutalized by the NBA. And they're actually up in most demos, but the reason that they were down was they lost their main demo, which is over 50.
The olds.
Yeah, the old people didn't watch for some reason this week. 18 to 49, and men and women 18 to 49, up 66.7%.
Wow.
Yeah, but it was still a .10 in the demo, so it's not like it was like a ton of people or anything like that.
Everybody that didn't want basketball is tuned in, I guess.
Apparently, man.
No debuts on that night, as in these other nights? Like, what was that big one on Monday everybody was talking about? The Better Call Saul or whatever it was?
Oh, I don't know. I just know it was the NBA. Don't go head-to-head with the NBA. That's my suggestion, all you looking to start a wrestling company.
Or
run
the
on,
NFL.
I don't know what day the NBA does a run.
Actually, it's okay to go head up against the NFL. I kind of wish AEW would do that on Thursdays as opposed to, Friday. Because if you're an NFL fan, you would know if you had to drop a day out of the regular season, it would actually be Thursday. So please, please.
Pat McAfee in talks with Amazon for a role on Thursday Night Football. New York Post reported McAfee and Amazon have been in discussions about the former NFL punter contributing. They call him a former. What about a WrestleMania superstar? Amazon is now the exclusive home of Thursday Night Football, starting with the 2022 NFL season. Yeah, Amazon. Yep. I am so old. Role that McAfee's in talks for hasn't been disclosed. Well, I can guess. I don't think he's going to be a punter. There have been conversations about potentially airing the Pat McAfee show on Amazon Prime Video, the New York Post wrote.
This dude is making cash.
Hey, we're open to that as well. If anybody wants, Wrestling Observer Live on Amazon Prime Video, we can talk. Bryan at WrestlingObserver.com. Back in a moment, Observer Live.
Hey there, everyone. It's Denise, and today I've gathered some of the best moments from the Samoa Joe Ring of Honor Media Scrum. Take a look.
Obviously, it was a major surprise to me, especially coming from my former position and how hard I was pushing to buy the library for the other company. So let me know why it was being such a difficult process. But when that did come up, at the same time, having Tony have it and knowing how much he loves wrestling and knowing how much he loved ROH and the product just from our meetings and time knowing each other, I knew it would be in good hands, and I knew it would be treated with respect, and it would be kind of made available to the fans in the best way possible. So I was very, very happy with it. At this point in my career and what I've done, the second release, my going back to WWE was majorly because of the people that I'd worked with and the relationships that I built in the company, and namely two people in Triple H and William Regal. As Triple H obviously dealing with his situation, which I knew about and was way more concerned about than my employment. And Regal, his departure, I knew the writing was on the wall for me, and which is fine. We were a big collective team and a big collective kind of a think tank within the company, and they went a different way. And as far as the release, I mean, it's an up and down process for a lot of people. For me, I mean, it just freed me up to really kind of pursue a lot of projects that I really wanted to work on, and kind of freed me up to start talking with Tony and talking about the future of what he wanted to do. And I was very surprised a lot of that matched up. A lot of guys, they get to a certain point in the industry and, they don't want to put themselves in the crucible. They don't want to put themselves in situations where they got young, hungry guys who want to come up and tear their throat out for their spot. I've never had an issue with that. And, that's a major reason why I'm here. Talking with Tony, understanding the lay of the land and the athletes that have been attracted to AEW and ROH, I knew that, it was a place that I wanted to be. A lot of familiar faces, a lot of new, kind of burgeoning stars that are coming into their own. And, these are the environments where I thrive. When I came into NXT, it was very much the same type of thing. When I came into WWE, everywhere I go, I'm searching out for those type of matchups and those type of individuals. And AEW is flush with them, and ROH is flush with them. And, now I have this grand opportunity to pursue those targets on both brands. So, it did play a major role because, obviously, I have a lot of my legacy tied up with the promotion, and a lot of work that many fans have enjoyed over the years has been, affiliated with the promotion. So, to see it and to be a part of it and to help influence the future of it, it was kind of a unmissable opportunity.
Alrighty, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed that roundup of highlights. I will be back with another video, but in the meantime, make sure to enjoy the rest of Wrestling Observer Live.
Back at the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. Well, let's talk about this Dynamite show here. I found the show to be dynamite, especially that opening match. CM Punk and Dustin Rhodes had an awesome wrestling match. That's Punk's new gimmick, pro wrestler. A bunch of wrestling matches, and there's holds and psychology and selling and nothing like...
This is new?
It is, actually. I mean, they would never let him do these kind of matches in WWE.
Well,
just like go in there and do old school psychology-laden matches where he can do whatever you want.
He
It's
never
awesome.
forgot who he was.
Him and Dustin got in there, and they had all these great spots, and Punk working over his leg, and the old school figure four, and then Punk's knee was injured, and then his knee gives out when he tries a GTS, so Dustin tries a sunset flip, and he cradles him and pins him. Loved it.
There is there are a lot of people who talk about Tony Schiavone and the fact that he has gotten such a rebirth in AEW and how happy a lot of people are that a guy who maybe got ragged on way too much back in the day is finally getting his flowers today and gets another shot and is up there where he deserves to be. Dustin Runnels is another one. His entire career that was not spent as gold dust, he never actually got the due that he deserved. He was very good early, and yeah, his father was there. They pushed him early, but there's a reason they called him the natural. He was in a lot of ways. He was very good. But unfortunately, he never got over that way before he became gold dust. And then after that, a lot of personal problems, a lot of issues. But man, what a revelation, but my God, what a athlete, what a wrestler Dustin Rhodes is. And I'm really happy that AEW's been able to give him the outlet that he really, and so he can get the credit he's deserved all these years.
All right, we got to get going here. AEW champion Hangman Page came out afterwards. It is Hangman versus Punk for the title coming up likely at the end of May. Wardlow arrived, and he's going to be wrestling the Butcher, but he has to be handcuffed. Anytime they said he's not in the ring. So apparently they cut all of his clothes off to get him into his gear. We had Bryan Danielson, Jon Moxley, Wheeler Yuta versus Dante Martin, Lee Moriarty, and Brock Anderson. This was your party match for the night. Just a bunch of great violence, and they made the Dante Martin, Lee Moriarty, and Brock Anderson team look good. And then finally there at the end, triple violent elbows. Moxley hit the Death Rider. I don't care what you people call it. That's what I call it. And he pinned Dante Martin. Loved this with all my heart. Adam Cole, Young Bucks, and Red Dragon promo. They're teaming up for a 10-man. Adam Cole says, listen, we've all been losing, but you know what? Nobody can beat us as a unit. So we're going to find out if that's true next week. Had a video for the Joe Lethal feud. It is going to be Samoa Joe and Jay Lethal, but they are very strongly teasing Satnam Singh versus Samoa Joe for down the road. We'll see how that one goes. Maybe it'll be good. I mean, if I had to have a match and I was green, it'd be with Samoa Joe. We had the announcement of the Forbidden Door Super Show, and then we had Wardlow versus The Butcher. And MJF is in the stands, and he's watching the match. And, Wardlow's got to be able to do matches if he's going to be like a main eventer. But nobody actually wants to see him do matches. They didn't care at all until he started doing power bombs. And then he powerbomb, pinned the guy. MJF is furious. Wardlow's going to be making his way through big dudes on the way to MJF and Shawn Spears. We had Kyle O'Reilly, Jungle Boy, Owen Hart Foundation Cup qualifier. Very, very good match. Not a lot of heat. Fans just sat there watching. And Kyle O'Reilly pinned him with the diving knee, bombs away, knee drop off the top, pinned him clean in the middle. And the story afterwards was Jungle Boy was so disappointed that he did not win this match, and he apologized to Canadian Christian Cage for letting him down. At an MJF segment backstage, he paid off Jake Roberts to hire Lance Archer to face Wardlow. Lance don't even want the money. Lance, it's not what you make, it's what you save. But take the money. Hook beat Anthony Henry. And just usual Hook squash. And then afterwards, Danhausen got in the ring. And they did not give Danhausen a full promo or anything like that, but this was what I was looking for. Danhausen says, you know what? These curses aren't working. Therefore, I want to fight you. And he jabbed his finger to Hook's chest, and Hook looked at him like, you're dead, brother. And off he walked. So it looks like they're going to be doing Danhausen versus Hook.
Pardon me, Brian. How did that explain everything for you?
Well, we at least found out the guy was a wrestler. We never even knew he was a wrestler.
We don't even know that now.
No, we are. He said, I want to fight you.
Yeah,
they're going to have a match.
Dude, look at Andrade's boy at the end tearing off his shirt, wrecking shop. You know, these guys get involved.
Well, he was also a wrestler.
Yeah, he's actually really good, too, but continue.
We had Frankie Kazarian's about to call out Sammy Guevara, but Scorpio Sky shows up and basically begs him to let him have the next match against Sammy. If he beats Sammy, he will give Frankie Kazarian the first championship match. So Sammy and Ty come out, and they are heels. They're booed. They kiss. They get booed. Sammy says, look at you all booing me because my girlfriend's hotter than yours. Then Scorpio Sky, Ethan Page, and Dan Lambert.
Dynamite Dan Lambert.
Baby faces to the... I almost said a bad word. Ethan Page is cutting this fiery babyface promo. Dan Lambert cuts a total babyface promo. Fans are cheering Dan. I know this disgusts some people because some people they just hate the Dan Lambert character so much they can't bring themselves to cheer him. But man, he was a great babyface. And they're going to do Scorpio Sky versus Sammy Guevara in a ladder match. And then after that, we're going to get the mixed tag probably at the pay-per-view. I'll go over all the lineups here in a second because, well, we'll get to that. Owen Hart, Foundation Cup qualifier. Britt Baker beat Danielle Camella. Just a showcase for Britt Baker in Britsburg. She's out there with members of the Pittsburgh Pirates. False
Steelers.
advertising. Whatever. They don't steal and they're not pirates. False advertising. Anyway, then she cuts a total heel promo, but they're in Pittsburgh, so everybody just cheers her wildly. She's bearing Ruby Soho, they cheer. She's bearing Tony Storm, they cheer. This was
Sounded
else.
like me walking up a flight of steps, though, man. Little bit winded there. Excited after that match.
So I know that. Oh, get out of here, you idiots! It's a gimmick. So I've heard people make fun of
Surprised you didn't go Penguins.
the poor Excalibur having to run down all these lineups as quickly as possible. I swear to God, it was like a parody this week. I mean, I think that they pre-recorded it and then played it at like 5 times speed. He was racing through these lineups. And by the way, remember I had that big argument with Dave a couple of weeks ago, and Dave was going off about how it was proven that if you just announce everything in the very last second, it's going to do better? Well, they did that for about 2 weeks, and now they're everything in advance. 500 matches are rattling off in advance here. Rampage. Adam Cole versus Tomo Ishii, Jade Cargill. I can't even do it. But don't worry, we'll have Fauntleroy do that in a minute. Dynamite next week. Hikaru Shida, Serena Deeb in a Philly street fight. Wardlow versus Lance Archer. Dax Harwood versus Cash Wheeler. Owen Hart Cup qualifier. Sammy Guevara, Scorpio Sky for the TNT title in a ladder match. Adam Cole, Young Bucks, and Red Dragon versus Varsity Blondes, Dante Martin, Lee Johnson, and Brock Anderson. That's what's coming up here over the next week. Yeah, good. Tell me what's coming up.
Damn right.
I want a week to be excited about it. I'm not on Twitter an hour before the show. I got a life. And then the main event.
You can prove that.
Darby Allin versus Andrade in a coffin match. Dude, this Darby. Oh, my God.
Incredible.
He just got, he's incredible, but he got killed.
Well,
the last 2 times he's
he
wrestled Andrade, I mean, he probably should have just had an MMA fight with Andrade because he probably would have come out for the better. Dude, he's getting slammed on metal, and he's just getting ragdolled, and the coffin's got thumbtacks on it. And then, what's his name? Jose. Whoever this guy is, he comes out. He gets slammed on the coffin lid covered in thumbtacks. You knew he was in trouble when he took his shirt off. So he takes that bump, and then Darby does his, bullet-style tope, sending Andrade into the coffin. He slams the thumbtack lid on Andrade, lays on it for the win. So big win for Darby Allin in his kind of his match now, this coffin match. Poor guy.
Sting jumped off a balcony.
Sting got hit with a chair shot to the back of the head on metal. Looked like the worst thing that happened to anybody on the whole show, but he has to no-sell it. Then he leaps off this barricade, takes out all these geeks. Because they did it right. It's no DQ. So Private Party didn't stand around watching this. The moment the bell rang, they were killing this guy. 3-on-1. Then Sting comes out to even the odds, and he kills all those geeks. And then, no DQ, so out comes Jose, and then he got taken out. I thought this was a great main event. And then the Hardys came out to acknowledge Darby and Sting. And overall, very, very fun show. And that leads to a very, very big episode of Rampage coming up on Friday. And when we come back from the break, it's my last chance to find this little devil. Fauntleroy will give you the non-spoiler lineup for the Rampage show coming up on Friday. Back in a moment with that and more. Observer Live.
Green Hill? Hello? He's escaped. Do you know which way he was headed? Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Shoulders. He's been here.
It's Vinny's straitjacket.
We're getting close.
Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. Well, time for those Rampage, the Rampage lineup. And you ready for this? I kind of got Fauntleroy to agree to be on camera. But the agreement was that he wants to be covered in a blanket. So, hold on a minute. Okay, come up. Let's do it. You don't need the headphones! Fine. All right, let's do it.
Owen Hart Cup qualifier, Adam Cole versus Tomohiro Ishii. TBS Championship, Jade Cargill, C versus Marina Shafir. Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland interview. Lance Archer versus Serpentico. Eddie Kingston versus
Serpentico?
Daniel Garcia. Women's Owen Hart Cup qualifiers. Jamie Hayter, Tony Storm, and Britt Baker interviewed by Tony Schiavone.
Schiavone? What the almost had a problem there. Get out of here.
Man.
Little idiot. I'm not letting him do that again. It's all or nothing next time. He actually said Schiavone.
Yeah, that's man.
Clearly a Jericho fan. Little moron. All right. Any other thoughts on this Dynamite show before we go to the feedback here, Mike? 425-780-7566 is the phone number if you'd like to give me a text message. Bryan at WrestlingObserver.com at Bryan Alvarez.
Every show should open with CM Punk and close with a Darby Allin match. It would make things fine. Actually, that's not true. You can also rotate in any member of the Blackpool Combat Club into that rotation as well, too. You'll be doing yourself a great service.
All right, let's see what we've got in the... by the way, we do this Wrestling Observer radio show, and we review these shows at, 2 in the morning. And then I wake up, and I have to look at this stupid thread on our board. And, man, everyone was, losing their mind. Literally, all I asked was, how did he get dressed with his handcuffs on? I wasn't mad about it. I don't care. I merely pointed out that he walked into the building in clothes, they put handcuffs on him, and then he came out later still in handcuffs, but he had his gear on. Do we really need 3 pages of people angry? Oh, they have to explain everything. I don't care, bro. I just asked. Did they take his handcuffs off?
Well,
did they cut his clothes out? Is he a magician? I don't know.
Could they just maybe have taken, them off so he could change inside of his closet?
I don't know. I don't care that much. Out? I just asked a question.
Well, you shouldn't.
I can't even ask a question now.
Well, maybe you.
How dare you ask a question,
If you didn't
Bryan?
want the answer, then don't ask the question.
No, I wanted the answer, but I don't care that much. I wasn't crying about it. I didn't have tears streaming down my cheeks, wondering how he got out of his handcuffs and put his gear on. I just asked a question.
Tears roll down your cheeks now. Ask
you guys know what a podcast is?
Towel and do that.
A podcast is anywhere from 38 minutes to an hour and a half of talking. Okay? I'm allowed to ask a question or two.
You mean and not be taken seriously every moment, every time? You need to be taken literally all the time. Now you're calling them ding-dongs. Bryan is calling you all crazy.
No, I didn't call them crazy. I called them ding-dongs. It's a food.
And a Jim Herd creation.
Bryan, with the Forbidden Door event, do you see a Mania all-out week with a bunch of shows around it like the Collective? I don't know. I mean, I don't see so much about... I mean, this would be more something like the, all-out show or Double or Nothing. Those I can see becoming because it's an annual event, it's always the same weekend, it's always... But I don't know, maybe. It could happen. I'm not anticipating it, but who knows?
Well, a couple of groups are going to latch on. They might as well. Look, people are going to be coming to that area. It's a fly-in show. It is going to be for a lot of people. And people are going to be whipped into a frenzy. Those guys are going to look for extra paydays. I wouldn't fall over shocked.
This person here says, oh, God. Must I read it? I will. Bryan, didn't Andrade leave WWE because of his booking? He's getting buried in AEW also. Your thoughts?
Oh,
my thoughts are he's not getting buried.
Must be next to Ruby Soho.
I got to bring this up here, okay? Last night we were reviewing the show with Dave, and we were talking about the Jungle Boy versus Kyle O'Reilly match. And if you recall, Jungle Boy got beaten clean. And Kyle O'Reilly just knee drop off the top ropes, beat him, pinned him, and that was that. No interference, nobody running in, nothing like that. And Dave said that he was surprised and that he thought this must be part of the story with Jungle Boy and Christian, okay? And I mean, he is right. It probably is going to play into one of these lifetimes, Christian is going to finally screw Jungle Boy, a plan that's been in the works longer than the Triple H Shawn Michaels secret plan with The Undertaker.
Just so Brian can say he's right.
But here's the thing, though, okay? This Owen Hart tournament, have you seen who's in the tournament thus far? I mean, they don't have a lot of men yet. I think for men, it's only Samoa Joe and Kyle O'Reilly. For the women, they've got like 6 women already. But here's the thing with this tournament, everybody. This is going to be a big, serious tournament, and it's in AEW. It's not in WWE. And everybody is going to lose except the winner. And I don't think that this, Jungle Boy getting beaten clean by Kyle O'Reilly with a knee off the top, I don't think this is going to be like an aberration. I think this is going to be most of the tournament. You guys, it's like the G1. Dude, everybody loses in the G1. Okada loses. Naito loses. Ishii loses. Shingo loses. The IWGP champion, everybody loses. Everybody loses. And it's not, this person ran. I mean, if it's a Bullet Club match, if it's an evil match. But, in general, it's just one guy's going to be the better guy in that match, and he's going to win. And the other guy's going to lose. And I think it's going to be the same thing with the Owen Hart tournament. So I don't think that we should be surprised when a Jungle Boy just loses to Kyle O'Reilly. I think we're going to see it a lot in this tournament as we get going because everybody's going to lose. And you don't want dudes running in and angles and interference and all that. That'd be horrible.
That's what bastardized tournaments, because it's one of the reasons that, WrestleMania 4 with the double disqualifications and bad, slow. No, you want it to be when people think about tournaments and they think about, the best of, they want to think about things like the Wrestling Classic with, Brett against, who was it, Ricky Steamboat. I think that was the only time they had actually faced off one-on-one against each other. And that's what this tournament should be about. And Kyle O'Reilly, this is another thing to note, too. And I know, I don't know how much he shows off his Western Canadian roots or anything, but it's like they still haven't gone up there yet. And there's where they're never going to beat WWE in Canada. I'm not saying never's a long time, but it's going to take a hell of a long time, especially in Quebec. But you got to showcase those guys too. And Owen Hart being Canadian, Kyle O'Reilly being in there makes all the sense in the world. And the fact that he's such a great technical wrestler, that's what I want to see in this tournament. No offenses to the Jungle Boys out there, but I want this to be a top-notch tournament. Dax and Cash is going to be really interesting, too. And Dax, I don't know who's going to win this. Maybe it's Cash, but I tell you, Dax being rewarded for how great he's been, to see him in that mix, boy, that's going to be awesome as well.
This person here says, do you think New Japan will bring Stardom for the Forbidden Door? It'd be lame if there were no women's matches.
Here we go.
Well, I don't think that it's out of the possibility. Dude, they're going to do a women's match on the show. Yeah. So if it's New Japan versus AEW, you have 2 options. You either do AEW versus AEW, or you get some women from Stardom. I don't know. I have no idea. I have no inside information. I have not asked. I don't know. But I think there's going to be AEW versus Stardom on the show. It has to be.
And I know everybody's saying, well, Stardom's got a show that night. They do. Doesn't mean everybody's got to be
bring
on it.
2 people over for a tag match. Or 3. Don't need everybody there. Yeah, Julia should be over there.
Bring Julia and Thekla over or something. I mean, again, I don't... that's story for a different day, but...
Is Fauntleroy in the witness protection program? That would explain his shyness. No, he's just short. Self-conscious about it. There might be some other things as well, but I have to ask him. I'm not going to let him talk too much.
He doesn't seem to be hitting the gym, Just a little, very slight thing there.
I told you he was small.
What's the height? Do you know?
I mean... not that big. Right. Sting can transfer his essence to anybody. Hey, it's funny. So yesterday, I was doing the Figure 4 Daily show with Lance, and he was talking about how he didn't like the part of the Wardlow MJF segment when they did the count out with MJF, because he goes, Wardlow, he wore a disguise. He snuck in. He finally was within reach of MJF, and then he stood there. And so MJF turned around and then fled, and Wardlow never got his hands on him. So he didn't like that aspect of it. And as he was talking about this, I was thinking, I thought, God, remember that one time where there was that fan wearing a Sting mask, and then they took it off, and it was Sting? It flew into my mind. And lo and behold, I'm watching the show last night, and Darby is and you could argue this as well, because this poor Darby's just getting his buttocks handed to him 3-on-1. Yeah. And there's a guy in the crowd. He's going, he's got a Sting mask on, and they brawl right next to the guy, coincidentally. And the guy takes his, and it's Sting. Yeah, it's exactly what I was thinking. But sometimes things don't make sense in wrestling, but they work with the crowd. Because the crowd will suspend their disbelief to get that big pop.
With the right guy, and with a guy who's got as much put in and has got as much goodwill as Sting, because in a way, Lance is right. You can absolutely, I know people say he's being a wet blanket and he didn't like the Forbidden Door name and all that stuff, but he can be, you can say he's absolutely right. Now, with that said, though, when you have a guy like Sting, I mean, he's playing the hits. We have seen this so many times, and him holding up that sign, I came for Darby Allin or whatever it was, and they tear it up, and he takes off the mask. It works every time. So do it every time until it stops working, because that's what people want to see, and that's what makes it different. It's like when Stone Cold would do something, or Ric Flair. There are some people that you can give passes to because we know this is a show, but with Sting, I mean, it's going to work every single time. He's a legend. He's fantastic. He's great.
Person here says, it may be a long time away from now, but do you think Cody would ever go back to AEW once he is able to, or have too many bridges, if any, been burned? Well, listen, we don't know, and we may never know what disagreement Cody and Tony Khan had, but neither has ever given the impression that they wouldn't do business again. And I know that people had talked about, issues between the EVPs. And for a while there were issues between the EVP, but not at the end. In fact, I was pretty much told that, for the last year, they were all getting along great. And, Cody and I don't think there's anything stopping Cody from going back at some point if he decides that that's what he wants to do. Back in a moment with more Observer Live.
No fish could swim this far upshore.
Yeah.
Shoulders ran like the wind, but he could find no peace.
Ugh.
make that little idiot Fauntleroy asked if he could step onto the other mic over there and make a statement. So we only got 2.5 minutes, so I told him it was all right. So, all right, Fauntleroy, let's hear it.
Don't listen to Bryan. I'm not self-conscious, nor am I short. My legs are exactly long enough to reach the ground. I also understand that a series of creative vignettes leading to my official debut will be a much more effective way to get my character over to my beloved Twitch homies. Each and every one of you.
No, don't start with that crap. God.
A series of vignettes?
You know what? He ain't getting lunch today. I can tell you that much. I mean, I'll feed him. Don't call, you know, I don't know who you'd call, actually.
You ain't making him the Wagyu, eh?
No, are you kidding me? Are you kidding?
Well, what do you feed it? Him, her, it, them.
Mike, it's 2022.
I think I went through all of them right there.
All right.
What do you feed Fauntleroy?
Let's do one more here. I watched the Nikita Lyons and Natty clip that you said to watch yesterday. It was hilariously bad.
Feed Fauntleroy Nikita Lyons.
So apparently the deal with that gimmick yesterday was that Nikita actually was legitimately losing her voice, and that's why she did the big and then rattled it off. And I guess they had to go with it because she was. So anyway, you'll probably see another one next week, which hopefully will be better.
That was way too much dialogue just to get to the money thing, which was "Girl, I'm flexible" or whatever it was. Come on now. That's all
right,
you needed.
Listen, we're out of time. I want to thank you all for listening. Bryan and Vinny show tonight, 90 minutes on AEW and NXT. What could be better than that? WrestlingObserver.com, as well as video.f4wonline.com. And don't forget to get your cameos in today, F4W Online. National Keep Off the Grass Day. Grab them now.
Kids.
Wrestling Observer Live.